My name's Christopher. This is my son Edward. Edward had a kidney transplant when he was 2 years old, and he was born with dysplastic kidneys.
I'm Annalise. I'm 17 years old. I had a kidney transplant 15 years ago, and I've been living with kidney disease ever since.
So my name's Alec. I'm 25 years old. I had my transplant in 2013, so I would have been 14 years old at the time. Currently now I'm working at the RCH, which has come full circle.
My name is Sonia. This is my daughter Manisa. She's on dialysis. Say hi.
I absolutely knew nothing about kidneys. I do have a relative who had a kidney transplant. He had kidney disease, but still I didn't really understand the impacts of it and what it was all about.
We didn't know much about kidneys before Manisa was diagnosed with the kidney disease.
I think there could be a lot more information given out to the community about kidney disease.
I find that kidney disease, people have absolutely no understanding whatsoever. I think there's very little empathy in the community. I think they feel a transplant is a cure and not a treatment. I think there's definitely no understanding of the difficulties of someone living with kidney disease.
I think people don't understand how much kidneys play a part in day-to-day living. They know, a heart pumps blood, that's the most vital organ aside from the brain potentially. And then lungs, they help you breathe. But kidneys, what do they do?
I think that I wish people in the community knew more about kidney disease because it does affect people's day-to-day life. And even though I work full-time and I do other things on the side, it still affects me in fatigue levels and things that I do outside of work. So I just wish people around me understood that sometimes I can't do extra things.
The main symptoms that I feel like people don't see is that, obviously, that lethargy, tiredness. Like people just say, oh, just take a nap. Sometimes you can sleep hours and hours on end and still feel lethargic and just not be able to do stuff.
A family with kidney disease is totally different from other families, especially a child with kidney disease. It's a different ball game.
I think generally people feel that once you have a transplant, that's it, it's over, move on.
I don't think people in the community know about what the effects can be later on in life.
I wish the community knew more about how severe the kidney disease in children is.
I do find that as soon as I tell someone that I have a chronic disease, then they put me in a little box in their head, and I can see them in their eyes. I can see that they're thinking, oh, okay, she's a bit different. But I kind of just put that aside and live my best life.
Making sure that people see me as someone who is not disabled or anything like that, but I'm just like everyone else. I just have a slight medical problem. I have to have a lot of medications, I have to drink a lot of water, and I have to go to appointments regularly and keep up very good hand hygiene.
Another question that I usually get asked is, have you been affected by it emotionally? But not really, as much as I did beforehand, where I was very scared and nervous about it. Not really, because nowadays I'm just, I have it, might as well just live with it.
I came out quite well, I'd say. I think I work, I drive a car, I've studied in uni, passed obviously all of that kind of degree. I think for me, I feel still quite normal. I think even to patients, sometimes I go up to them and say, hey, I've actually had a transplant. They're like, what? They can't even believe why that kind of thing has happened.
Mainly the first question that comes up when I tell someone that I've had a kidney transplant is, oh, are you okay? And I always say, yes, I'm fine. Look at me, I'm doing really well.
Generally, my life isn't affected to the point where I feel like I've had to make leaps and bounds in terms of changes that I have to do to be able to keep up with other people around me.
I find as it's almost been 10 years now since my kidney transplant, and so a lot of people that I'm meeting for the first time don't know that I've had a transplant. So I'm actually really enjoying that aspect of people getting to know me first, and then later on I'll tell them I've had a transplant, and then they don't put me in a box as much because they already know who I am.
Life isn't so different as people may suspect.
The biggest worry that I have living with kidney disease is when my next transplant will be, as because I had my transplant when I was 14 years old, so I know that I'll definitely have to have another one in my lifetime, but I don't know when that will be, so that's probably the biggest worry.
So Charlotte's actually donated her stem cells to study congenital nephrotic syndrome, and I think the best part about all that for us is in the long run she'll actually be helping with families not to go through what we went through, I suppose.
I know that there is a lot of research going on currently at the Melbourne Research Campus, and they send me surveys all the time to do about living as a young adult with a chronic disease and things like that, which I love doing because it means that I get to have my say in the research and that they get to look at my case, which is quite individual.
So I'm very excited to see all the medical resources or medical studies that will be conducted and will be available for me once I'm, an adult in let's say 10, 20 years.
When I had my transplant, they were talking about starting the stem cell research, and that one day they might be able to grow my little kidney for my own body, which is so exciting.